Hello everyone, it's Refresh, and I'm here to talk about what I liked last week. And last week covers September 27th through October 4th. We only have one music video for this week, and that is for 지바노프, or jeebanoff, and the song is called Good Thing, featuring Ginger, I believe is how you say that name. This is nothing particularly special, it's just a very pleasant pop tune, and so I'll play a little bit of it for you. That's it. You kind of will get the sense of what you're going to get from that little clip. It's just a very pleasant, mildly R&B touched tune. And if that's the kind of thing that you like, you might like this video. You can check this out and everything else that I am going to share in the description box below, and I'll have timestamps to all of the different things that I like, so you can just skip to whichever section or thing that most interests you in terms of the title. Next, Onstage continues celebrating their 10th year anniversary, and we are continuing with the series of videos that they're having. They released two videos this week, the first one being the Korean retro rapper Kirin versus the ballad singer nokdu. As before, they are given 30 minutes to write a song where the subject matter is picked by someone who calls in, and in this case they are writing a song for somebody who has broken up with their girlfriend but is getting back in touch with them, and they are feeling a little odd about the situation. So each artist will provide one song that they write in 30 minutes for that person, and then that person gets to choose which person wrote the better song, and they will get a no prize of a sort. They just get the honor of having won that round. I'm not going to play any clip of this particular video because there's no subtitles, so it's hard to understand what's going on, but I will play a clip of Kirin's song here.
영원한 건 없고 인생은 길어 하나만 알려줄게 이건 날 믿어 네가 생각하는 대로 말하는 대로 돼 다 잊고 행복할 수 있다고 믿으면 돼.
So that is Kirin's 90s style rapping and singing, and in this particular case he's saying that you're going to be alright, you know, get your head out of this space and get yourself straight basically. His song is called 진혁에게, which is for Jinhyuk being the person who called. Next we have nokdu, and nokdu produced a song called 어느새 in his 30 minutes, and this is more of a comfort-oriented song to help Jinhyuk feel better about his situation. Take a little listen to that.
꺼내야 안아보지만 온기는 느껴지지가 않고.
So you can get a sense of his style from that minor clip that I have provided. And if you like either of these songs, go ahead and give them a listen. These were just written in 30 minutes, and I think both of them do a pretty good job with the small amount of time that they had to write them. The second of the two episodes features Korea versus Leibrex, and both of these artists are matched together because both of them have some amount of success overseas. Korea getting a lot more attention overseas, even getting a Tiny Desk concert this last summer, I believe. And they have their own caller to whom they're going to write. Again, this video doesn't have English subtitles, so you might want to check it out if you can understand Korean, or you can just skip to the songs that they wrote in 30 minutes. First up, we have Leibrex with Last Hope. Give it a listen.
수많은 별들과 부딪혀 흘러내린 네 눈물 이제는 빛이 되는 너와.
So you can get a sense of what Leibrex's sound is from this particular clip here. If you're interested in that, give it a listen. And then Korea, who I actually really like this band a lot. I'll play a little bit of their song that they wrote. It's called 나는 내 운명, which is I am my own future. So you can get a sense of Korea's fusion of folk and contemporary music there, and I really like this particular song of theirs. It's very fun. So I came across this particular cover because I really like the soundtrack to 보건교사 아는, which is the school nurse file for Netflix. It's a Korean drama series. And I came across this particular cover by Choosther, who is a Korean YouTuber. And I really liked the cover, and then I just fell deep into a hole, like watching a number of her videos where what she's particularly well known for is doing impressions of other singers. And so she breaks down in charmingly unusual verbiage how to sing like another person. She focuses particularly on pop and K-pop stars. So check out this, but understand this is not like her normal content because I just really like the soundtrack. And then maybe go check her other stuff out if you are into pop or K-pop and would like to see her very unusual takes on how she explains to sing like those other popular singers.
보건교사다 잽싸게 도망가자 죽게 생겼다 잽싸게 도망가자.
Alright, so that was Choosther's cover of 보건교사 아는, and it's a pretty fun cover, and I recommend that you check it out, especially if you like the music from the school nurse files. And then maybe check out her other videos if you are interested in those. Moving into comedy, we have a sketch from Wong Fu, and Wong Fu is fairly well known for making short dramatic and or comedic films for YouTube. And in this particular one, it's kind of making fun of one of the actors and founders of Wong Fu's long hair, combining that with the obsession with K-dramas that perhaps people in the office had experienced recently. So I'll show you a very small clip from this. That's all I'll need to show you. You can tell that his hair has been cut. And Wong Fu has previously done a parody of Korean dramas in the past, but it actually wasn't very good because it seemed like they didn't do particularly good research into what it was like. In this particular sketch, they actually seem to have done a better job of having an understanding of what Korean dramas are supposed to look and sound like. And in this particular one, they actually make reference to certain ones as well as certain things you see in Korean dramas. So if you're a fan of Korean dramas or you're a fan of Wong Fu, give this one a look just to chuckle at a little bit of what Wong Fu has to offer here. More in film and TV, we have another discovery of mine this last week, and this is for Cheese Film, which is a Korean web drama maker. And this particular production company, what they do is short web dramas, typically around either high school or college students, and a lot of their titles are like the characteristics of 3 female friends or whatever it might be. In this case, they're doing a group of male friends. This does have English subtitles as well, so it'll be accessible to those of you who cannot understand Korean. And I think they have subtitles in other languages as well. They seem to be pretty well received and get decent viewage. A lot of their work is a bit on the light melodrama side with a lot of romance-oriented bits, and I fell into a hole watching these videos too after watching this first one. There's some decent production values. The acting is a little stiff as typical for web dramas, but I found them to be still fairly charming in that high school romance sort of way. So I'll show you a tiny clip of this one as well.
진짜 이뻤어.
어땠는데?
우리 학교 교복이었는데.
우리 학교 괜찮은 애들은 내가 다 아는데.
그치. 키는 170 정도 해. 포니테일 머리를 하고. 근데 왜 남자 교복을 입었을까?
남자 교복? 설마.
I won't spoil the twist here. Usually the cast tends to be more female, but in this particular case, we have a bit of story about guys, and sometimes these shorts will have follow-ups that appear sporadically over the course of their productions. So once you start watching one of them, you can occasionally find a sequel or a prequel, and sometimes their shorts become a bit meta, playing fun at itself. And so some of the reward of watching cheese films comes in watching a lot of cheese films, because then you'll start to see some of the short references that aren't quite specific to the content of the shorts, but the style of cheese films. And so if you like melodrama or like light comedy melodrama in short form, give cheese films a shot. Now we're on trailers. I'm not going to play any of the trailers, but the first one that caught my attention and that I am most interested in watching is A24's Minari. A24 picked this up at Sundance, I believe, after it debuted and won both major prizes at the film festival. And this is a movie about a Korean American family that moves to the heartland and the trials and struggles that they face. It seems very relevant to my own story in particular, and I think it will resonate with Korean Americans, but also those with any sort of immigrant background. And based on the response at Sundance, I think it is one to definitely check out if you can get a chance. It stars Steven Yeun, Han Yeri, Yoon Yeojung, and a couple kids who I don't remember their names, but those are some big names relatively, especially in Korea. Yoon Yeojung is a bit of a legend, and everybody knows Steven Yeun from The Walking Dead and Burning and Okja. So if you're a fan of him, you probably want to check this out as well. The next trailer that caught my attention is His House, and that's coming from Netflix. And this is a horror movie with Sudanese refugees in the United Kingdom, and they get put in this house where things are not what they seem, and the people around them are also not what they seem, and they don't want to go back to from where they escaped, but this house is giving them lots of troubles. And it's an interesting metaphor for some of the ways that refugees struggle when they get into a new country, particularly by the way that they're treated by the people around them. And so I do think that this will be interesting, and I'm definitely going to put it on my watch list when it drops on Netflix. So check out the trailer for His House. The last trailer I have to offer is a Hulu trailer for Bad Hair, and this is interesting to me just because I knew some people that were making a documentary about hair and black hair in particular, and some of the perceptions and struggles that both black men and black women, but particularly black women, go through in dealing with the politics of their hair. In this particular case, this is turned into a horror movie. And so you have Bad Hair, a horror movie for Hulu, where this woman gets hair that either makes her evil or the hair itself is evil. I have seen this sort of story before, but this one entwines with the story a bit of that hair politic that is particular to race and perception of what is and is not acceptable. And I think that that might make this a bit more interesting than the average evil hair story, which again has been done before. But that little twist means that it might be something that I will watch in the future. So check out this trailer if you are interested in that. Next, we have Just Right with Let's Fix X-Men Days of the Future Past. X-Men Days of the Future Past was a movie that I thought was okay for an X-Men movie. A lot of the X-Men movies are disappointing to me, and I kind of wish that this one was better too. And then here we go. Just Right drops a video essay on how you might go about making this movie better. And it even features Nando V Movies, who I'll be talking about shortly as well. I'll show you just a little bit of this one.
So this movie has a lot on its plate. It's trying to be a worthwhile sequel to the excellent X-Men First Class, while also being a send-off for the cast of the original trilogy, which didn't really get an adequate conclusion in their last film, X-Men The Last Stand.
And boy, did it not get a good conclusion in X-Men The Last Stand. So the whole series kind of just fell apart, and I kind of wished that it was a lot better. And so I watched this, and I thought that Just Right had some interesting points on how you might go about fixing Days of the Future Past. Now, if you think that this is an amazing movie, maybe don't watch this, but anyone else who found it to be just a little disappointing, you might find something of interest here. And just as I was speaking of Nando V Movies, Nando V Movies is a YouTuber video essayist who's probably best known for doing revisions of movies that had problems. So Just Right normally doesn't do that. They are more of a general writing channel, and Nando V Movies is more tuned towards picking apart movies and then also a lot of revisioning of movies. And so in this particular case, Nando V Movies has just started the Rise of Skywalker rewrite, and this was a movie that deeply disappointed me. And so I was very curious to see how Nando might fix it. I don't necessarily think I would go the way that he ended up going, but it was still an interesting alternative to what we got. So I'll just play a little bit of this scroll that he created with his own voice singing it.
Bum 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 ba 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 ba.
Okay, you don't need any more of that, but he basically takes The Rise of Skywalker, presents a new version of it, and I think it's interesting in the way that it addresses the problems that Nando finds with the movie. So if you were also disappointed by The Rise of Skywalker, you might want to check this out and see if his vision of Rise of Skywalker is any better. Now moving on to more educational content, we have Whose Vote Counts Explained. And this is a series on Netflix, and they actually posted an entire episode to YouTube, and so you can check this one out. It talks about voting in the United States and a little bit of its history. There are some issues I have with some of the information presented, specifically the line, America is the world's oldest democracy, because, I mean, the word comes from, like, Greece. And so I don't know if that would actually count. But other than that, there is some good information here. It does tend to lean just a little bit on the left, but they do have voices on the right as well speaking here, and so they try to balance it just a little. It's not that balanced, but it does do a good job of sharing a bit of the history of voting and who gets to vote and how voting has been used as a political weapon. So we'll play a tiny bit here.
Age-old battle in America, whether the vote should be for everybody or just some people, whether it should be easy or hard.
And there are a lot of talking heads. There's a lot of stock footage that's being used in this documentary. And so if you are interested in the issue of voting, then this might be a good series to check out. Next, we have Kurzgesagt. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but this is, I believe, maybe a German channel that does their content in English. And this particular one is if it's possible to stop and or reverse climate change. And so Kurzgesagt goes through and presents the challenges that we are facing today in terms of the drivers of climate change, and then presents some ways that we might mitigate the problem. So I'll play a tiny clip of this episode as well.
Energy intensity. Energy intensity describes how efficiently we use energy. A street food vendor in rural Brazil might burn coal to cook, while a street food vendor in France might use an induction stove powered by nuclear energy.
So as you can see, Kurzgesagt uses this graphic-y animation style to demonstrate everything that they are saying in the video essay. This is not the most optimistic video, but it does present some ways that we can go about slowing down climate change, and that's an important thing. So give this a watch if you are curious about the ways that we could fix the problems that we are creating here in this world. Then we have CGP Grey, who is a video essayist who only produces videos every once in a while, this time talking about Supreme Court shenanigans, or basically some of the politics that are around Supreme Courts and the ways that we abuse and do shenanigans around the system. I thought that it was an interesting video that taught me a few things about the ways that the Senate and the ways that Congress can mess with the court in some sense, and the ways that the different branches of government can basically fight a little bit around the Supreme Court. So let's show a little bit of this video.
When the Judiciary Committee inquisition is over, the whole Senate then gets to vote yay or nay. Nay, and the nominee is rejected and the president must pick someone new to start over. But yay, and the Supreme Court has a new justice to help uphold the Constitution. Yay! All done. Thank goodness such a vital process doesn't have any asterisks or political shenanigans. Oh. Alright.
And there you go. So he explains what those shenanigans and asterisks are. So check out this video if you are interested in some of these shenanigans that happen with the Supreme Court. The final video I have to share is Healthcare Triage, talking about immune cells and helper T cells and some of the updates in the fight against the coronavirus. I find that this is a decent resource in terms of understanding what is coming in terms of the research as it pertains to healthcare. And these days it's been a lot of coronavirus videos, unsurprisingly, considering how it has impacted the world. So I'll play a tiny clip of this.
It's to get to work. Data published in the last few months suggests that T cells could be an important part of the conversation surrounding both immunity and vaccine development.
I won't go too far into it, but it's basically this gentleman here who is the talking head that explains a lot of the information, and then there are some graphics as well to help you read it or digest some of the concepts through visuals a little bit better. And I think the Healthcare Triage is a pretty good resource for those who are interested in matters of healthcare. So check that out in the links in the description box below if that is something that interests you. And that is going to be it for this week. You can find a playlist of everything that I watched this week in the description box below, as well as links to these videos. And let me know what you saw this week. If you saw anything that you particularly liked, leave a comment below with a link to the videos that you are interested, describing what it is, and I'll check them out. And if I like them as well, I might make a response video to your recommendations. If you found this video interesting or helpful, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of these videos, hit subscribe. I will probably be making at least one more of these videos as part of this test, and would appreciate any feedback that you might have in terms of the format of this video. Other than that, this was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.